Well, here I am now talking to you from Egton House last week. It's empty at the moment. Well, almost empty. The first of the BBC's enormous collection of records of the past and present is just being moved in. The collection, which is constantly being added to, has finally outgrown Western House. This has been the home of the gramophone department for the past 12 years. Its basement filled with row after row after row of records of all available sizes. Every disc issued by the major companies is automatically bought, though the number of actual copies varies, of course. The BBC pays for them, by the way. There's no question of just using review copies. Those, and all superfluous copies, are sent to hospitals. On the ground floor are the LPs. More long-playing discs are issued nowadays than singles, and the 78 is almost a thing of the past. Some of the 78s in this library are, of course, historic. 7,000 of them, in fact, and these, irreplaceable, are handled with the care you would expect. The move will take 4 days and has to be done systematically, because for program reasons, there can be no break in the demand. But getting back to the past, these cylinders are believed to be the first ever made in this country. What did Gladstone say in 1888? It's here in a message to Thomas Edison. And here's the voice of Caruso, recorded in 1900.
Tocca, e Lucia alle stelle, eseguito dal tenore Caruso, Anglo-Italian Government Company.
Other historic items include this hand-driven gramophone of the 1890s. The record, one of the earliest flat recordings, is of Emil Berliner reciting the Lord's Prayer. Even things like record catalogues have a collector's value if they're old enough. Some of these, around about 1900, are worth up to £10 each. Much more comprehensive is the BBC's own index system. An average of 300 new entries are added to it daily. It has to be right up to the minute for obvious reasons, and the staff here claim to be able to find any disc in the 500,000 in little more than a minute. In addition to the library staff, there are the production people. Jack Dabbs, in spite of the move, still has to produce Housewife's Choice, for example. Rex Palmer is busy sorting out requests for children's favorites. Derek Chinnery is preparing one of the hundreds of overseas record programs that go out to all parts of the world. Under the direction of Miss Anna Instone, the gramophone department produces, in addition, about 50 programs of its own each week, for the Light, Home, and Third. It also supplies all the commercial recordings used throughout the BBC for both sound and television. The chief librarian is Miss Valentine Britton. Miss Britton, how many records do you issue over a given period?
About 10 and 11,000 a month, say 120,000 a year.
What's the proportion of pop music to the serious stuff?
Well, I suppose about 50-50.
So the pop hasn't entirely taken over yet?
No, not yet.
What about signature tunes? There are things like Radio Newsreel. That's been going for, must be 20 years. Do the record companies keep issuing them?
Yes. Well, they took that particular tune off their catalogues, but as it was such a popular one and we continued to use it, it was put back again, and we're still able to supply it, of course.
The obvious question, apart from the historic recordings, Caruso, Melba and company, what's the oldest disc that you're still actually using?
Well, I suppose the all-time permanent pop would be Love's Hear My Prayer.